One of the most important but often forgotten organizing tips: create zones in your home by storing like with like. Zones make it easier to find your items, use them, and most importantly, put them away. Today, I'm sharing exactly how I use this method with one of my clients for organizing her teen daughter's bedroom. Like most teen girls, there was a lot going on in this room. Granted, you have your typical things like a dresser and a bed and a closet, but there are also things like books and lots of beauty supplies. There were arts and crafts supplies, stuffed animals, and a lot of memorabilia that they wanted to be on display. All very normal things, but it was really difficult to keep the room tidy. We spent a lot of time decluttering, but when it came to organizing, it was this really big puzzle that we had to try to figure out all the pieces of where things should live that made the most sense. Here's a bird's eye view of how the room was arranged when we first started this project. You walk in and immediately there was a closet, then we had a desk with a window, there was a 3x3 cubby organizer with a TV on top, a bookcase, the bed, there was a 2x3 organizer, and then the dresser. Fairly normal layout. However, the way that it was being organized was not so straightforward. So because the teen, just like me, has ADHD, I knew that the systems and the zones we had to put in place were going to be really easy and very intuitive in order for it to be easy for them to maintain on their own. We started off by making a clothing zone. There were 2 separate areas in the room where clothes lived. I know it looks like the dresser and the closet are really close together here. They were actually far enough apart that it was extra work to put things away properly. A trail of clothes would often get left between the dresser and to the closet, creating a mess on the floor and making entering the room difficult as well. So what we did is we actually moved the dresser to the opposite wall so it was perpendicular to the closet, creating a clothing zone. Everything she would need was within just a few steps of each other. And even when clothes would be left on the floor, it was all in that zone, making cleanup easier, and it impacted the rest of the room less than it did before. We also created a reading zone. Originally, the bookcase sat at the end of the bed, which doesn't seem like a really big deal, but books were also stored in the 2x3 organizer and the 3x3 organizer. There were some on the desk and on the dresser. There really was not much rhyme or reason for where the books lived, which makes it really easy for them to just be left out. And because the girl has a canopy bed, it was hard at the end of her bed to put books away because of the canopy. We ended up moving the bookcase to right next to the bed so it was easy to grab and put away books. We cleaned off a lot of the display items except for one shelf for her special Legos, and all of the books now live on the bookcase. Everything's within easy reach and it has one clear, distinct home. We also created an area for all of her display items. The bookcase had display items on it. There were some in the 2 different cube organizers. The desk had some, which made sitting at it to do homework hard. There were some boxed up on the floor because there was no spot for them to go. There was a lot, but most of them didn't have a home, which is why it was just everywhere. Now, it is totally fine to have display items in more than just one area, but in this particular case, we wanted to simplify and have them in one distinct area to try to keep surfaces as clean and clear as possible throughout the room. This was going to keep flat surfaces nice and clear and hopefully prevent clutter piles from forming and just make the room as easy to tidy as possible. Because the white 2x3 organizer had seen better days, we opted to part with it and replace it with an identical 3x3 cube organizer that was already in the room. We put that where the bookcase had been, and then because all of the books were out of the shelves, all of those cubes now became display area. A couple cubes were left for some toys that she wanted to keep, but the rest beautifully showcase all of those items that mean so much to her that she loved seeing every single day. We also created a makeup zone. When we first started this project, there was no real dedicated space for all the makeup and beauty supplies. There were a couple organizer boxes for things, but there was no place for those to live. So it was really easy for those items to become messy because you just could not put them away. After some conversations, both with mom and the daughter, one-on-one and then as a group, we came to the conclusion that the desk had to go. It really wasn't being used for what it was originally put in the room for. It ended up being more of a clutter magnet than actually a space to hold the arts and crafts supplies and be a vanity and be a spot for doing homework. So we opted to let that go and instead brought in this incredible vanity to become a makeup zone. We put that on the wall where the dresser used to be. All of the makeup and hair supplies, all the beauty supplies, all fit beautifully inside all of the drawers. And best of all, the flat surface is staying tidy even after a couple months of using it because everything has a distinct home and it is so easy for her to be putting everything away. The final zone we created was for arts and crafts supplies. Previously, the arts and crafts supplies were divided between the 3x3 cube organizer and the desk, which made it hard for her to see exactly what she had and then put it away. So we gathered everything into one place, and it was really shocking for all of us to see how much she really had. After downsizing, we ended up repurposing a 3-drawer cart that was being unused in the home and put markers in a drawer, pens and pencils in another one, and other small arts and craft supplies in the bottom drawer. Anything that was bigger that she still wanted to keep actually went to another part in the home where other arts and craft supplies were being stored. And then the cart fit beautifully between the vanity and the bookcase, which meant she could roll the cart out, sit at her vanity, use the flat surface for coloring and drawing, and when she was done, put everything back in the cart and then wheel it back into place. It was really easy for her to keep up on keeping things tidy while we are still continuing to make some organizing tweaks and do even a little bit more decluttering in this room. Creating these zones has made the biggest impact on keeping this room tidy. I hope by walking you through this real life scenario has really helped you see how important zones can be, especially in a multi-purpose space like a kid's bedroom. If you'd like to see how zones can work in other areas of the home, let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for being so kind and caring towards my clients. I'm so proud of the mom and daughter and how much they have grown, how much effort they have really put in to creating a calm, peaceful space in their home. There is still more to do, but oh my goodness, it has come such a long way. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next video. Happy decluttering and organizing. Bye.